I'd like to start by asking you to do something for me. Picture an engineering professor. Now stop. I would bet that some of you pictured a woman, but that many of you, if not most, probably pictured a man. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a natural reaction, because people tend to think that science and engineering professors are men. According to the American Society for Engineering Education, women make up about 18% of all tenured and tenure-track faculty in engineering, meaning that men make up over 80% of the faculty. Over 80%. This is an issue. There is a large gap between genders in the engineering professoriate that needs to be narrowed. How might we do this? You might be asking. Well, honestly, it's a very complicated issue that requires a lot of complex thinking and many, many people to understand. But one place we can start, and I'm saying start, is by looking at a college's policies. Looking at their policies, practices, their behaviors and norms, actions and values within that organization. By doing so, we can begin to understand how our policies might be detrimental to women faculty. Let me give you an example. We can bring together our administrators, our dean, department heads, associate deans, faculty leaders, and so forth, to take a look at some of our most important policies from a critical eye and from a close and deep perspective, say a tenure and promotion policy. We can have them look at these policies in ways that might uncover bias towards women, or implicit messaging about women and what they have to do to achieve tenure. But let me give you another example. I visited an engineering college that had adopted a policy stating that faculty women could take a semester off if they were expecting. Now, this was a great policy. It was something to be lauded and celebrated. Unfortunately, not all faculty believed that. They thought it was negative and irresponsible. They thought that it was irresponsible for a woman faculty member to take a semester off and ignore her student advisees. That it was irresponsible for a woman faculty member to take a semester off and ignore her teaching responsibilities. And most importantly, that it was irresponsible for a woman faculty member to take a semester off and ignore her research, even though she was having a child. Now, the reaction to this policy was unexpected. And we also got some implicit messaging for the women in the engineering college. What was being told to them implicitly was that, number one, they ought to think carefully before taking advantage of this policy, or they may be labeled inept, lazy, inadequate, or irresponsible. Number two, it said to women that they need to think twice before having a child and being in this profession. It's just not welcomed. And number three, most harshly, it said that women cannot be a good faculty member and have a family simultaneously. As one of my participants put it, you can't be a good mother and a good professor. You have to choose. again, this policy was not meant in a deleterious fashion. Nevertheless, had we understood our audience, our constituents, our faculty, our staff, and administrators, we might have been able to anticipate the reaction to this policy and develop another policy that would have been more equal to men and women without the messaging. In doing so, we can begin to open the doors to women who want to be engineering faculty. And in doing that, we can begin to narrow that gap that we talked about at the beginning between genders and the engineering professoriate. Now, before I go, I'd like to ask you to do one more thing for me. Picture an engineering professor. Thank you.